One of the better.
Sounds like someone needs
It
an
was
extra
Liz.
person.
Liz.
Oh.
Is that Johnny? Did that?
Johnny just made a solution to the parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has no idea.
Travis's stepdad.
He's got no idea what's going on.
Okay, I kind of asked them.
Can you hear me? Liz,
Danielle.
Liz, yeah.
We got it.
I guess I'll start over. All right. I'll just repeat the last one. What's the difference between Wuhan, China, and Las Vegas? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. For those who don't know, COVID started in Wuhan. Okay, Ryan?
We get it.
I don't think you did. All right. Pop culture news. I don't know if you guys knew. Well, the famous reindeer Rudolph just recently divorced his wife of 20 years. Turns out she went to Vegas. She blew $50. Explain that one. All right, last one. I'm done. A good friend of mine actually just recently moved to Vegas not too long ago. He started a nightclub, and it's a nightclub strictly for men who have erectile dysfunction. Needless to say, it was a big flop. Nobody came.
All right, can the sound okay?
So you would break, you know? Yeah.
You know, it's pretty clear, with addiction, with, what it does to people and what it does to families, is very scientific. Well, on the other hand, where it originates from and how it starts seems to be more philosophic. And, you know, I'm on the other side, of whatever I see on TV or what I read about when it pertains to addiction or what I hear about. I just happen to be on the other side, not because I chose the other side, not because I see it, not because it was what I wanted. It's because I live in the middle of it. And I live in the absolute heart, and I have for 11 or 12 years now. Since the day I got sober, I've put myself in the middle. I'm surrounded by both families and people that are in recovery all the time, and people that are suffering from addiction all the time. I put myself in the mirror, and it's like a lab. I work in a lab, and it changes, and data comes in, and old data goes out, and nuances change to what's going on. The drugs change, and the culture changes, and so when I speak of where I think what's going on currently, it's not what I'm saying how it is. I'm not saying that's how it is. If you're a person and you believe in the fact that addiction comes from trauma, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. I'm sure that trauma breeds addiction, and a lot of people suffer from trauma and they become addicts. But on the other hand, a lot of people are traumatized and experience trauma and don't become addicts. So, but that's what you hear nowadays. And that's the philosophical origin, is that, you know, that's how it is. That we have a population of group, as if you were to look around the kids here, that we all suffered from some kind of trauma that other generations didn't suffer from, and other families didn't suffer from, and that we've been told that. And to me, it kind of really irritated me. I didn't like hearing it. So when Gabor Mate started it, which Gabor Mate wrote in the realm of the Hungry Ghost, and you know, he's supposedly an expert. He worked in Vancouver, BC, and he was up there in the, you know, open drug areas and the safe injection sites, and that's where he did his work. And he came up with the book, and he came up with adverse childhood experiences, and he rated those experiences based upon, you know, he got somebody and he interviewed and said, did divorce happen? Did abandonment happen? And somebody got a score, and found that if they were high on the adverse childhood experience, they became addicts. And that's just, but for me, I wasn't. I was a kid, you know, I went to Hawaii a couple times a year. I went to Las Vegas with my parents when they went. I went driving and camping and boating. And I grew up in middle-class America, and I had everything I wanted, and it just wasn't that way. So when they were telling me the addiction came from trauma, not only did it frustrate me because I just didn't buy it, I didn't experience it, and I was an addict. So explain to me about me, please. I want to know. You're telling me where it's from. You're not an addict, and you just jumped into this thing. You've never experienced it, but all of a sudden, now tell me where mine came from. And I don't want to hear it. You know, that my parents did anything to me that led me down this path. And I think that just met up with. So I had to look into what happened to me. And I had to look into what's happening now. And this week we're studying. Hopefully they're studying or they're hearing about what's called the pain body. They're hearing about this thing inside of us that we're born with that Eckhart Tolle calls a pain body. And he calls this thing a pain body, and a young baby's born with a pain body. And you see it when the pain body's activated. This is when a human being is under stress, becomes not getting what they want. And you've all witnessed it when your child's pain body is activated and they dump that pain on you at the house, and that kid's screaming for the bottle, and then you give them the bottle and that takes the pain away. And it puts the pain body back to dormant. And we all know about that, about our pain bodies and how they're hit, and then it causes us to be reactive and fight or flight and all that kind of stuff. And each one of us have these pain bodies, and nobody gets away without having one, and nobody gets away without experiencing pain. But this is what we're all here to talk about. And that's kind of what's going on. This is this big thing. All these families have came together, and pain has developed. It's now started. It's this thing that's common and ties us all together. There is definitely now pain. There is definitely now hurt. There is definitely now resentment. There is definitely now anger. There is frustration. And it's become part of our family. It's become what's going on with us. And you can just, you see it. That's now developed. And so I start wondering, where did all this pain come from? How did that happen if it isn't trauma? And I don't believe in that. Well, you know, I was 5 years old, 6 years old. I think really early on, I started developing a real keen sense of when I deserved a second chance. That was what happened for us. So it was real keen sense about, you know, a little 7-year-old Art was real good at knowing justice. I knew when you shouldn't tell me no. And from a young age, I heard yes. That's just what I heard. Growing up, I heard yes. I heard yes all the time. Can I get a bike? Yes. Christmas is coming. Can I get, will you buy me a car when I'm 16? Yes. Can I go on vacation? Yes. Can I go stay at my friend's house? Yes. Can I go to the movies? Yes. Can I ride my bike to the mall? Yes. All yeses. I literally can't look back at my childhood and find a no. It was yes, 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 yes. This is how it was. What it developed was you couldn't tell, you got to a place where I had never heard no. Well, that was all right until I was doing okay with my grades and everything was fine. And it was okay until college. It was okay until I got out of high school. It was okay until I had no sense of direction. I had no sense of structure. And the reason I didn't have any sense of direction and the reason I didn't have any sense of structure is because not only did all the yeses give me an inability to take no for an answer, it also did this thing where I no longer could tell myself no. I stopped having the capacity to tell myself no. Do I need to study? Do I need to go to class? No. Oh, you gotta go to class. No, I don't. Do I gotta do my homework today or is it later? And at 18 years old, I literally lacked the ability to tell myself no. I had overdosed on yes. I've gotten so many yeses. It also did other things where I felt the world was different for me. I know it says 55. That means for everybody else, I can drive what I want and the cop should pull me over and I know he should give me another chance. And as more trouble started brewing in my life, I had a real keen sense of what the prosecutor was going to do. I could sit in a jail and me and my cohorts in jail could negotiate exactly what was going to happen to me. And you start seeing that other people didn't have this. I started noticing that other people really didn't have this. Other people, when the speed limit says 55, when it said no parking, they didn't park there. I remember when I was high school, all the yeses. And then I would be over at my friend's house. And I remember what I became was a real advocate. What I became was a fairness, like union shop leader. So I'd be over at my friend's house and my friend would go, can we go to the movie? Can I go to the movies with Art? And his parents would tell him no. And then I would come up with, oh, your parents are crazy. How could they tell you no? And I would come up and start the argument about how the hell why would they tell you no? You've done your homework, you've done this, and I didn't know the whole picture, but I had it all pretty square that no was unfair. And now I'm negotiating with this person about how these no's are unfair. And I'm really good. And then we got into high school, and when no's came about, I was the guy that stood up and revolted against his dad. How could you guys tell us no? Where, I don't imagine Angie had that in her life. Where Angie growing up, if they said don't do it, she didn't do it. She's never tried weed. She doesn't do drugs. She has a total capacity of telling herself no. It's really different. So, as it went on, I remember there was a staff parking lot and a student parking lot. And I drove my car to school, and of course, there was no parking in those. I couldn't find a spot in the student, so I'll just park at the staff. And I'll just pull in here. This is fine. It just says staff on the thing, not a big deal. I can just go in here. It didn't dawn on me. No, it didn't dawn on me. Never did. Got to a place where I got that car towed that day, and then I was real good at outrage, the injustice. How dare you? You could have just got me. You could have just came to my class and they went out there and they painted staff, but that wasn't good enough for me. They painted in the same spot that I parked in. That didn't buy. So now I expected them to come get me out of the class and ask me nicely to move my car out of the staff parking lot. And this is the kind of thinking that it led to. It also is, and as I sit in this laboratory, I am not sitting here. I think there's a deep secret here for all the parents here. What are you asking me to do? And I think that maybe if you asked yourself real honestly what you want from me, you want me to tell them no. You want me to now tell this thing that has been told yes, that has this yes attitude. And this is where I believe that the pain has developed from. Because I think that not hearing no enough is actually the cause of addiction. I think it's actually the thing that's doing it. I think that Barkley, for instance, if he was a human being, he'd definitely be a drug addict dog. Because I seriously did not tell him no ever growing up. Now 8 years in, I have to now tell him no, and it's heartbreaking. I have to now sit with him, and I have to like I'm the bad person now, and he's now being punished, and the pain of no now for him is a lot. And I imagine, he would have found his way into the drug dens and found a way that if as a parent for me. And so, I think what's happened is, so where is this pain? Well, if it's not this trauma, which I'm not saying that people haven't went through trauma, I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm not saying that it's not real. I'm saying, but the predominant amount of pain nowadays is coming from boredom. The predominant amount of pain is coming from the word no, being told no. We sit here as managers, me, Kyle, Nate, Max. Our job is no administrators. That's it. We administrate no's. And we've had people in our program all the time. And one of them asked me, somebody asked, it was Parker, it was late at night. He just got high 3 days ago. And he's sitting with me on a Friday night. It's about 9:30. We're getting ready to go to bed. And Parker's sitting across from me. And Parker goes, hey, man, I got a girl going to meet me. Can we go out? Can I go out with this girl tonight? And I go, no, man, no. And he looked at me and he goes, well, it didn't hurt to ask. And I said, see, that's where you're wrong. It absolutely hurted to ask. It hurts to ask because you make me tell you no. You make me be the asshole. And we have all these people that are asking for things that never been told no, and they ask us for things, and we have to say no. And we're the bad guy for saying no to things that are truly harmful to people, truly not good for their best interest. And we sit as the enemy in a lot of cases. We sit in the enemy and say, please. And then there's another thing that's developed with this drug addiction thing. It's this hostage situation where if you tell me no, I will screw up my life more and use drugs and kill myself. And it's gotten to the point where a lighter and a life is held here. And someone says, tell me no. And we as parents and we as staff, we sit there and go, God, I have to tell them no. What are they going to do when I tell them no? What is going to happen when I say no? And it is a big deal and it's scary. And it gets to the point where we have to wonder, what do you mean? What is going to happen when you tell someone no? And that's crazy. We all grew up, we got told no. What happened when you got told no? You just accepted it. Well, not me. My friends did. My friends did. I didn't. I didn't accept it. And lo and behold, my friends that stayed home, that didn't get to go spend the nights on school nights, that got told no. Now, I'm not saying it works in all cases, and I'm not saying all the families here, you didn't tell your kid no. No. You might have. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but that's what kind of pain we're developing now. And then they call this other pain is developed. Guess what? When you use drugs and it feels really, really, really good, normal life becomes painful. And people aren't talking about, they're not talking about when I experience drugs through the lens of fentanyl, life through the lens of fentanyl and opiates and meth, I walk a higher path. I have freedom in life beyond worry. I have this way of being that you'll never understand. And once I've had that and unlocked that ability to live life on this path up here, I don't want to live it down here. I'm sorry, but doing the dishes doesn't get me going anymore. Making my bed don't do it for me. Nothing does it for me anymore because I've experienced it up here. And that seems to me, that's the new pain. And the new pain, if you ever tried it, the new pain is no cell phone. We've experienced life with a cell phone up here. We've experienced that we can't get through a stoplight without picking that thing up. We've experienced that not texting and driving is something to say. It's good to tell people not to do, but it is damn hard to not do. That we've experienced life up here, and now pain is getting your phone taken away. That is pain. And if you can imagine, we were growing up to go, you know what's going to make you suffer? You're going to get your cell phone taken away. We might have said, I'm going to have a cell phone? That's crazy, man. No, I won't be mad if it gets taken away for a while. Who needs a cell phone all the time? But now pain is not having a cell phone. Pain's getting put it down through the whole traffic light. Just sit there. Go put it up for an hour. Don't look at your messages. Just go clean the kitchen. Just think it's right there nagging you. It's saying, come get me. Check out. Somebody's texted. You can't make it. Pain. So our new pain, where all this pain coming from, it's an overdose of yeses. It's happened. You know, I can tell anyone now that's raising a young child, tell them no. Tell them no all the time. Tell them no often. Tell them no when you don't even want to tell them no. Tell them no when it's a yes. Just no, 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 no. I will tell you that will normalize the pain of no. And as the pain of no gets normalized, as that pain gets normalized, you can then take it as you get older. You can get older and you can understand because that's what's happened. The world now, the kids in my program, I'm sorry if this offends you, but the world has now told you no. The world says no, none of your bullshit works. Figure out some new bullshit. Your shit is not working here. Whine, pout, don't get your way, call your mommy, do whatever, it ain't working here. And that's tough to take after. It's the same as Barkley's now experiencing because now he's told he's got to lay here in this bed. Barkley's used to doing whatever he wants to do. And so this pain was of our own creation. Nothing happened. Nothing happened in the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s that changed our childhood. Nothing. And if you look at the difference between the older generations in this room and the younger generations now, the only difference you're going to find is yes. The only difference you're going to find is now and the social pressures of being a parent and having to say no. It's gotten so great. Can I smoke weed? No. That was a real easy one to say no to when we were now 15-year-old kids. It's legal. I'm going to smoke weed. I'm doing it. And how do you even tell them no anymore? Social pressures are now saying, oh, you can't have a phone. Take your kid's phone away nowadays. You're a monster. You're a complete monster for taking your kid's cell phone away. You're a monster for telling them they can't go out on a Friday night. You're a monster for telling them they can't go to the mall. You're a monster. And that's what's become. Anyone telling anyone no now is a complete monster. And the victim that gets told no. And I don't even think people know what they want anymore. I think people have gotten to the point where they ask for shit. And what happens when I'm told no and I don't accept it? Well, I go and I rally the troops and I complain and I get people on my team and I enroll them against the oppressor. And I say, let's all rise up against this oppressor that's told me I can't go to the movies tonight. Let's all go and rise up against this oppressor that tells us that we have to pay rent on time. Let's rise up. I'm a huge oppressor, by the way. You know, I do crazy shit. You know how many kids ask me this question? And you parents, I'm sorry, this is my therapy too. But you parents understand this. You know, I've had hundreds of kids ask me one thing. Hey, Art, can I not pay rent so I can buy a car? Have any of you parents ever thought that in your mind? Has that even crossed your mind that you could call your landlord or mortgage company and go, I got a purchase in line right now? And what I'd like to do is call you guys and say no on your money and buy a car. And I tell the kids that ask me that, I go, I'm not loaning you any money. And they truly don't get what I mean. They don't understand it. And me now, I'm a real bad guy. You know how hard it is to ask these kids for rent sometimes? It's tough. It's tough, man. They don't understand why they have to pay rent. They don't understand the word no. They don't understand that. So now I'm set, and we live in this position of constant. So I have to look, and it's very suspicious to me, you know, the same government that allows, and I think this is what happens when truckloads of fentanyl and truckloads of meth meet. Yes, that's what I think happens. I think we have people that stood, you older generation, you would have looked at the meth pipe and said no. You had the ability to tell yourself no. You had the ability, you had that. You've been told no, it's been habitual, you're used to no, and it's easy then to tell yourself no. But when a kid's young and he's never been told no, never been told about the difficulties of life, never been told and entitled, and I see that big pile of drugs, yes. And I said yes to everything, and it led to enormous difficulty in my life. And so this is what happens. But see, we're being told all across the thing that this is what happens when drug meets trauma, that somehow all of our families were sitting here in this deep pain. All of us were in deep pain, and we've all been traumatized. And thank God the drugs got here. Thank God they showed up, because we were all sitting in our house before drug use. Every one of you was sitting in your house just in pain. And I just find that to be nonsensical. I think you were on vacation. I think your kids were doing good. I think everybody was happy. And I'm not saying in all cases. Remember, I said this is philosophical. This isn't how it is. Tonight, I'm giving you a philosophical look at what I take in, at what it looks like from my perspective, that this is a disease of yes, that this is, I'm entitled to everything, and I get to feel as good as I want to feel, and I shouldn't have to feel normal life. I shouldn't have to feel things like anxiety. I shouldn't have to feel worry. I shouldn't have to feel these things. And when I have to feel them, man, everyone else is going to suffer. And here we are, doling out. Now the pain's really here, though, because now there's difficulty. Now there's struggles. Now we're resenting each other. Now we haven't spoken in years. Now things are tough. So now there's real pain that's developed. But I don't think it originated the addiction. I think it's here now. And I think now we have to learn how to deal with it. So now, after all these years, we have to be able to tell each other no. And we have to say no to each other. And we have to develop this ability to take it on. And now these kids at 23 have to go to jobs and understand that, you know what the answer to, for most of society, for all the time, when people went to a job, for almost 90% of the time, the answer was no. You didn't just go out in the world and get the job. You went out, you beat the streets, and it took 10 tries, and then maybe you got a yes. And you had to take no. And now no seems to mean to people that they're not good enough. That, oh God, what do you mean I'm not deserving of this? And it's really, really led to this thing, in my opinion. And that's what we are doing. So at our program, our biggest difficulty and what we have to do is saying no to outrageous shit. Saying no to things that a normal person wouldn't even ask to do. And that's where we sit here today. And it's not always the case. It's not always like that. I'm not saying it's how it is. Now, again, I'm saying take a look. And take a look. You know, this might sound crude, but you know, just maybe think to yourself as a parent, when's the last time I told my little kid to shut the fuck up? Did my kid ever get told to shut the fuck up? Because I know I did. And I know it helped. When I did. My mother slapped me one time and told me that. And I was real mouthy. And see, my father didn't have to tell me no. You know why? Because when he was in town, when he was in the house, you don't dare ask. You just don't even ask. Oh, Dad's here. He ain't gonna let me do that shit. you don't even go ask. You know? And then my dad moved to Utah when I was in 6th grade. He had to go down there because they didn't have any mechanic jobs in Utah or in Seattle. So my dad wanted to be a mechanic. He went from cleaning the airplanes to fixing them. And so he went down to Utah and he had to get a house down there. Me and my mom had to fly back and forth, but I became the man of the house at 13. And so it was me and my mother all the time, and she couldn't tell me no. She didn't have the ability to do it. Can I go stay the night at a school night? Yeah, Mom. Yeah, you can. It didn't matter. My mom lost that ability to tell me no. And all of a sudden, I lost the ability to tell myself no. And that's what happened for me. And any of you else in here, maybe take a look at your own life. Those of you that have went through this and are trying to recover. Maybe you're recovering from the yeses. Maybe you have to take a look and go, man, did my parents just ever tell me to shut? Did they just tell me no for no reason? Did I not understand it? I think we should have been told no and not understood it. And I think we should have had to sit with that. I think we should have had to sit in our rooms, be told no, quick, throw a fit, and just not get anything and deal with that. And I think that normalizing that kind of pain would make this whole thing a lot easier. Because it's truly, from our experience, what's going on now. We sit. Can I skip making my bed? Can I wait to do my chore? No. Can I go out Friday night, even though I got 6 days clean? No. Can I do whatever I want no. It's constant. So here we are, dealing with each other's pain. We're connected now through all this pain. We're connected from having to reestablish some boundaries. That's why they say we need boundaries. Well, why do you need boundaries with an addict? Because they don't know no. That's why. That's the whole thing. They don't understand no. We don't understand no. No means,
They're saying there's a chance.
no. Well, the judge says next time I do it, I'm going to get 6 years. But no way. No way. He says 6 months next time, but I really think that my fairness meter has gotten me another chance in here. I know, I've already measured it, and we know. And people are in my program right now relapsing, knowing if they got another chance or not. That's what they do. They sit there and earn credit points. That's what it is. You know, from the start of this thing, I understood real early on that what we have with human beings is we have what's called an emotional bank account. And every time we're with people, we either make a deposit or withdraw. And and an addict, what they do is they withdraw and they withdraw from our emotions and withdraw and withdraw and withdraw until all the accounts are bankrupt and until they've taken too much emotional pain from everyone around them. And everyone says, I can't interact with you in a business forum like this anymore. We can't do business. And we as addicts understand our emotional bank accounts. We understand how far we've pushed everyone around us. We know if we're about to push them over the cliff or not. We know when we need to get back on our best behavior to try to earn points again. We know. So you see, these kids, they pay rent 9 times in a row on time. Guess what they do when they don't pay rent? Guess what they say? I've paid 9 times in a row. Why are you hassling me? They go to work. I'm sorry, kid. Go to work. Call in sick because you went 2 weeks in a row. You deserve it. My dad went 30 years for Delta Airlines. I'm sure there's men in here that have went 30 years without missing work. I'm sure Chris Durst did not call in sick. But we deserve it. We deserve
I
it.
told him I was retiring, then I called in sick.
Yeah. We deserve it. I know. See, I went to work 10 days in a row. I know they can't fire me for missing today. Not a big deal. I've got my fairness meter. I know how to push it. I know where I can park and I shouldn't get a ticket and I should. If I get a ticket, I'm outraged. Parking right under the big no parking sign. Me and Angie pull up and I park in the no parking. And Angie goes, "You're going to get a ticket." I go, "No, we're not." You pull into Safeway and it says food pickup only. We can park here. I can park here. It says art park. It's very clear. We're different. When it says no turn, I tell her that's just a suggestion. Yeah, no turn. They're just suggesting you don't do it. It's not really, carpool lane. It says tour. No, that's for me. Look at this big line. Why don't I also I've never stopped at one of those red light freeway entrances. Still not in the history of my driving have I ever stopped on one of those. Go right by. The real annoying thing about the dinging of the seatbelt, I wouldn't be wearing my seatbelt if it wasn't for that ding, ding, ding. There's literally no rule I follow. But luckily if you can, and if you don't have to take no, I'm not saying that you have to take no. I'm saying if you're going to live the way that I live or live the way that people that want to hear yes live, you're going to work damn hard. I have to work damn hard because guess what? I got to have the money to pay those tickets. Mm-hmm. I got to have the money to do all this stuff. And Angie tickets just come in the mail. She just pays it now. She don't even talk to me about it. My insurance is $900 a month. I say, listen, I can take 5 more tickets and then another $1,000 a month insurance. I'll be fine. That's how it is. But I think we can have a discussion. We have a discussion here about really what is pain now? Where is this pain that we're all going through? And where does it originate? And if everyone in this room just looked at the pain that they experienced today, I don't think it's that deep. I think what we're talking about is, that 15-minute wait in the line at the bank was obnoxious. Yeah, that long line at Safeway was painful. Yeah, the traffic here on 167 had me in a lot of turmoil. And yeah, my boss told me no, or I couldn't go get this. This is now the pain that we're talking about. And for us to sit in here and say, geez, how did we all get here and have an addiction meeting about how we've all been traumatized and what's happened to break us apart and how it wasn't something that we all were part of? Come on. It offends me when they said addiction was from trauma. It offended me because I was like, no, man. No, I did this. I like to party. I like to hear yes. I like to feel good. Why did I do drugs? Because it felt good. You ever tried them? They feel really, really good. And then guess what? When you try to go back to normal life, it really, really is painful. It sucks. It's miserable. So let's look at where this comes from. Let's really see what we're dealing with. And, we don't have to just believe what they say. They told you it was from trauma. Did you look and see if you had it? Did you really find yourself sitting there between you and your first drug use and was pain on your mind? Were you sitting there going, man, I just absolutely need these drugs because I'm in so much pain? Be honest. Were you? Or were you like, damn, I want to party. Damn, I want to feel good. And I'm allowed to because I did my homework this week. Mom and dad are off my back for a little while. They won't catch me. And there it is. They feel real good and they're real addicting. And that's what happens when yes meets truckloads of drugs. And now we sit here dealing with it. Well, our government tells us, don't worry about the truckloads of drugs coming in. Don't worry about that. Don't worry, it's trauma that's causing it. It's not the truckloads of drugs coming in. Forget that. Open border, bring it all in. And then fight amongst yourself and blame each other. Well, we bring in truckloads of drugs and cause this thing. You know how much fentanyl will get done in Washington State? However much gets here. It'll be exactly the same number. Unless maybe somebody spills some. You know how much meth will get done in Washington State? The exact amount that's brought into Washington State. How do you stop that? Well, I say the only way, just like a fireman, we started out as firemen. We tried to put out the fire here in this drug treatment industry. We said, hey, let's start putting these fires out. Then all of a sudden we started talking about just exactly what firemen did when they put the fires out. Now you start looking at fire prevention. Now we start seeing about what could equip people to deal with these truckloads of drugs. And I don't know a better word to know. I don't know a better thing to teach a youngster than no, 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 until they get to the point where they can tell themselves no. And then we have a defense between them and a pile of drugs. We have something that kid has a tool and some kind of thing that gives them a boundary that they've created in their own mind that I can't cross over there. So that's now for this kid to sit there. What's going to be their defense between their dipshit friends with a pile of fentanyl and a foil and themselves? What's going to stop that? Because the other way is to try to count on the government not bringing the drugs in. But I doubt we have any chance of that right now. But remember, they could stop anthrax. If they saw a granule of anthrax on an envelope, the whole country stopped. Now, truckloads of fentanyl come through. Can't find who's doing it. Give me a break. Anthrax stopped this country. Hazmat came into your house and looked at that piece of salt that you fell onto the counter and thought was anthrax. I went into work. I was running a bakery in Seattle, and I was the manager, and I was also getting high, but that was the perks. So I went there and I had my Burger King lunch. And, you know, Burger King differs from McDonald's because Burger King salt, McDonald's has a real fine powdery salt that goes on the fries. It's really good if you're an expert like I am, but it's nice. And Burger King, you open up, they have a little square postage stamp of salt, and you open it up and it's real granular, real big chunks, and it just doesn't stick on the fries. It's not what you want. But I had went to Burger King and then I ate. I was high, so I was probably nodding off and spit a lot of the salt all over the table. Well, my boss who owned the bakery, he came in the next day, and it was 6 a.m., 7:30 a.m., and he's seen the salt all over the table, and he thought we'd been, you know, this is 2001. He thought we'd been attacked by anthrax. So of course he called the police, and the police came, and the hazmat people, and I showed up at 7 a.m. The hazmat crew and everybody in those suits. And that's my salt from my Burger King yesterday. Really high. Probably didn't get it on the fries. Yeah, so I don't know. You know, that's what we're experiencing. You know, and then we can throw in what's happened, and we can throw in what we went through, and we can look at that. But I don't know if we can look at that at the cause of where we sit and the origin of all this. But we can look at it and say, now there seems to be a big pile of pain that we're all eating. And what we need to do is we need to see what we're doing now. We need to see that now that this pain has arrived, now that it's here, that everyone's got to eat their fair share. And you have to start seeing that a family's got to eat their fair share. And what's happened is an unequal distribution of the pain. A lot of families in this room, the mother of the family is eating all the pain for everyone else. The mother is sitting there and she's worried, nervous all night. And she's eating the pain, or the father's eating the pain. Well, my dad used to say, oh, baby Art needs his drugs. And I would come to the family thing and nod off. And, and then after he'd go, oh, little baby Art needed to get his drugs today. He was in too much pain. So little baby Art had his drugs. He goes, you know what the thing is about you and drugs? He goes, see, you get to go escape. And he goes, we all get to look at you. We all have to sit here and look at you. And he goes, that's painful. And it's painful to watch you sit like that at our family things. And he goes, but you can't handle any pain. You just got to go away. Big Thanksgiving dinner, you have to sit there with the family the entire day. I know it's agonizing, son. I know. And you're going to need some drugs to get through it because of your agonizing day of eating chicken legs and watching football. And he was right. He was right. And I was not eating my fair amount of pain for our family. And that's what's changed these days, is I've become a person who is able to now take pain. And the only proper way that you can take pain, there's only one way, because see, we dump it on each other. If I complain to you, if I blame you, if I resent you, if I yell at you, if I'm angry, all that is an improper way that we pass pain to each other. We dump it. I'm in pain. Now you're going to be in pain. And we take our pain and we go to the casino and we can't handle the board of a Friday night. So let me go drive up there. If you have ever been to the casinos locally, those are no longer tourist fun places. These are pain dens. These are people that are suffering. These are people with little teeth. These are people that are not on vacation having a good time. These are destroying lives through going to this place and relieving my pain and handing them $1,000 out of my paycheck so I can get nowhere in my life. And that is a big pain reliever. And if you look on every Amazon truck in every neighborhood right now, that's people that can't get through the day without ordering something on Amazon. Because you know what? My life is so miserable that I'll just have to look forward to this package that's getting here tomorrow, no matter what it is. And I need one coming every damn day. And so that's a pain reliever. And we're all just now in this whole pain thing. And we're relieving it in the buffet of ways that we're doing. But the proper way, the only way, to sit with it, to turn towards your pain, to eat your fair share. When you're upset, when you want to vent, when you want to yell and scream, you sit there and hold it in. You learn to expand. You take no and have it, I didn't get my way. Oh, this is what it feels like to not get my way. Taking pain, learning to manufacture it and process it. And that's hopefully what the kids in the program will learn, because if you don't, I don't care how much money you get. I don't care what you do. You will not be able to stay home on a Friday night and not go get rid of your money if you're in pain. You won't be able to handle what it's like and sit with $50,000 in the bank account and just actually not go out and do anything. You will need to get your paychecks. If you're not able to handle your pain, you will get your paychecks. You will buy those new shoes. You will get that new car. You will overextend yourself. You watched all the pain during COVID. Biggest two things I saw during COVID of pain relievers were new cars and pets. And that's the other thing that's happened is people that are in pain are now getting pets. I can't handle my pain. I'm going to now get a pet because I think that's going to make me feel different. And I forget the responsibilities of owning a pet. And that's happened during COVID. And after COVID with the housing crisis, I found all these people that can't move into sober living, can't go anywhere, can't find a place to live because they've took on these pets and now weren't qualified. I got my stimulus check and got me an $800 dog. Not enough for the vet bills, not enough but I got a dog and now my landlord won't let me have the dog. It's on and on and on and on. They come. The other thing that people do is they get pets and then they ask me later, hey, Art, can I have a dog? No. Well, it's already here. Can I have a cat? No. Well, it's already here. Been here. It's the other move. Can I get my car? No, you can't get your car. Well, it's outside. I brought it. How many times? Every day. So I hope. Listen up. And if you're in this and you're trying to recover from these yeses. Recover from this. Understand, people, you need no. You absolutely need no. And if you are sitting in this room and you're in my program and you've been around and you don't think you need no, you're crazy. You're insane still. If you don't think you need to develop an ability to tell yourself no and to take no from other people, it's the worst words you're going to have to hear, but you got to learn to hear them. So, I can, if you got questions, comments, if you got another question on another topic or anything, we can talk about that. But I'd like to hear too from parents about, was this true in your experience? Did maybe you overdose on yeses? Did the social pressure of telling my kid no become too harsh?
Or sometimes you remind me of something from my childhood that I completely forgot about. And I'd always argue with my parents, my dad especially. He'd say no. And one day he sat me down and he said, Chris, I noticed when I tell you no, I have to tell you no 3 times.
Yeah.
Before you quit arguing with me. So from now on, when I say no, it means no, no, no.
Yeah.
Until the next time he said no, and I opened my mouth and he goes, what does no mean?
Yeah.
It was actually really effective. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
You were talking about the power of no.
Can I wait on not doing my homework? No. No, you need to do it now. I remember people that told me no, man, and I got the utmost respect for all of them. I was really early on in recovery, and I was about a year and a half sober, and at the time I had about 6 sober houses, and I was sober a year and a half, and I'd met some people that were wealthy, and they were helping me out, and I'd worked real hard to keep my word with them, and I always did what I said. And it was a Sunday, and I had a van full of kids, and I was taking them to the fair. And we were driving to the fair, and I realized it was Sunday the 3rd, and rent was due on the 3rd. And we were driving to the fair, and I realized, oh man, I didn't get Hong the check. And I called her at like 10 a.m. in the fair where I'm taking all these kids. And I call her at 10 a.m. and I go, Hong, I know the banks ain't open today. No big deal if I don't bring you the check today. She lived in Redmond. I go, can I just bring you the check? I'll have it there 8 a.m. tomorrow. I'll even have someone come tonight and drop it off on the porch. And she was on the phone with me and she goes, no. She goes, no. She goes, you kept your word with me all the time. I expect that check here now, and I don't want it to be late. And I drove the kids back to the sober house, and I got in that van and I drove up to Redmond and I handed her the check and I said, thank you for keeping me in line. And these are the kind of experiences I remember and respect of the people that did this for me, that told me no when no one else could, and made me look at things and go, and they're right. They're right. And I think those 2 words, for the people in the program, I think those 2 words are pretty valuable. They're right. They're right. Told me no, and they're right. They're right. Not mad. Not going to form a coup. Not going to try to go anti-establishment. Not going to demonstrate. Just we were told no, and it's right. We were told to go to bed, and it's right. We were told to wake up, and it's right. We were told to clean up after we cooked and ate, and it's right. They're right. And what a relief. Pain goes away. Now it's just, what do we do? What a beautiful thing we can do. No, no, no. We have to practice that one, Kyle.
Yep.
Practice that one. We got all these kids and we're going to be loading up and traveling to Vegas this weekend. 3 cars, a U-Haul and 2 cars and 7 clients and me and Travis and Max to take it. And you just imagine what's going to be asked. You know, can we do this? Can we do that? You kind of imagine, what could they come up with? And if you'll sit and be around this long enough and see what they can come up with, you will be astonished.
Driving by the casino.
Yeah.
Can we go there? No.
Yeah. Yes.
This is the giant thing.
Can we go to the casino, Art? Do you have any money? No, I don't. But I still want to go. I want some of your money. All right, questions, comments, please. If that's not your experience, maybe you grew up and you were told no all the time. Maybe it sucked.
I just powered through the nose.
Yeah,
I just kept
doing it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you kind of make me think about like my childhood and no was no, and I listened. But I think maybe, you know, I guess it just makes me think about like maybe I was so young that I didn't like, I was just so immature or young and I didn't really take into consideration or give credit for the positivity of the no. Like instead it was like a reversal of like, it was painful to hear no all the time. So therefore I want to be a different kind of parent. And that's so crazy, but that's almost maybe like you want to take that pain away, but that's like, we're not giving ourselves credit for what good that did. Like we became good human beings we are and responsible because of that no, but we're not seeing it yet because we're still in that, you know, rebellious, whatever, you want to resist it and you're in this young stage and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to really look at.
I remember thinking, I'm going to let my kid eat ice cream at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Not giving credit to what it actually, the value it gave.
Well, I mean, I think that it even has went so far as that, like I said about my family and my dad, there was just his no's that were inherent that I knew personally from a young perspective where his no's stopped and where his yeses began. And I was able to determine that with my father. So we didn't really ever get in a no yes competition. And I think that, you know, that's kind of what's happened is that bracket system has went away. I remember the first time I heard that a kid was using drugs and his parents knew. Now, there was a time, guys, just so you know, that the end of your addiction was the moment your parents found out. That the end of your drug use in their house was the moment that they found out. That you didn't just bring weed home and think that after you got caught smoking weed, you were going to get to continue to smoke weed. So it was not like that. I remember there was a kid that was in my program and his mother actually came home while he was smoking fentanyl off the foil. And he goes, "Do you want to try it?" Yes. That might sound crazy, but that's the new norm. Fentanyl is being smoked in houses all across this country. And people know that it's going on. Now remember yourself as a kid and think about yourself doing that and what kind of wrath that would have been on your life. You would have never left the house for a year and you would have accepted it. And it's changed and the social climate has changed.
Kind of like the opium dens in China back in the day, right?
Yeah.
People just there all day long smoking opium.
Yeah, if you can't drive around and see this pain that these drugs have inflicted onto Seattle, if you don't see the pain and the zombies and the pain of our state, yeah, now there's pain.
Or
With
you
drug
don't
use
have to
comes
go
pain.
downtown, you can go to Kent.
That's
too.
right. With drug use comes pain. You know, it looks painful too. You know, it doesn't look fun anymore. I remember you used to see a guy on cocaine or something. You'd be like, "Yeah, dude might be having fun. He's out playing pool. Like, that guy's kicking it. That's fun." You're at a party. Drugs nowadays look like this.
On the fast. Yeah.
That don't look like fun.
It is.
Or they look like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the stoplight.
We've got Carrie at home.
Okay.
Carrie.
Hey, well, I'm south, but I'm in my south home, my RV here. How's everybody doing? Good. Hey, so, Angie, you mimicked exactly what I was going to say about how we wanted our precious little angels to not miss anything. And we wanted to believe them when they said, "It's okay. I'm done. Thank you very much." So Art, you said that your biggest job was telling people no. And I thank you for that.
I farm it out to Kyle.
What?
I farm it out to Kyle Layton.
Oh, well, good. He's a great study that you've got there. But also, what about telling the parents to stop it?
Well, no, you bring up a point, and what I don't know what you mean by stop it, but
Stop the saying yes. Stop the enabling. Stop the.
I think it's gone past that. And I think what it's gotten to is, and I wish I could tell the kids in the program to put earmuffs on and not listen to what I'm saying. Earmuffs, guys. But I think what's gone on is now that the whole interaction between parents and addicts and parents and kids is now just this game. It's a game of, I'm not really going to launch, and I'm going to wait out responsibility, and I'm going to keep putting it on you. And when my life's not going good, I'm going to make sure that you know it. And I'm going to make sure that when I'm sad, my mom and dad are sad. If I'm going through a little turmoil and somebody tells me no, my mom and dad are going to hear about it. And if I'm not getting my way, mom and dad are going to hear about it. And they're going to call mom and dad and say, I'm not getting my way. This is bullshit. and you know, that's what we're experiencing. Our biggest fear of telling the client no is one of two things. One, they're going to go destroy their life if we tell them no. And the second one is they're going to call mom and dad. And they're going to say, untruthfully, big bad Art, big bad Kyle, you know, they're doing this. Or if we tell people too many no's in the program and then somebody relapses, guess what the parents hear? Everyone at the house is relapsing. On and on and on. And that is a direct response to a no that they've been told.
So,
yeah.
You think the parents have been brainwashed? I get the feeling it was hard to tell Brian no.
Yeah.
You're right. So when I was growing up, I was afraid of my father. Wait until your dad gets home.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You know, I spanked Brian when he was 2. He turned around and laughed at me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I almost feel like I've been conditioned or brainwashed into this.
Yeah.
Because it was hard to tell him no.
Yeah. Like I said, the social pressures.
Was something going on there?
You know, I don't think I'm not faulting any parents here. I'm telling you that this is the way it went down, that the pendulum swung, and that's, you know, what's his name? Sam Quinones, who's been a speaker with us and who's wrote many stories wrote the book Dreamland, and he wrote many stories on the current crises and how we got. And he said that what happened is the pendulum swung, and a bunch of parents, the baby boomers, the older parents, we were told no. And the answer was no, because I said so when we were younger, when you all were younger, and no, because I said so. And that was harsh. It was harsh. It was harsh to hear. It was harsh to accept. It left us ostracized from our parents. It left us scared of our parents. And I think that then contributed to the pendulum swinging to yes. And I think what needed to happen was it needed to stop in the middle. And in the middle needed to be no, but please let me explain to you why it's going to benefit your life that I'm telling you no. And please let me help you understand why it's a no. And I think that's where it needed to swing, but it didn't. That's tough. And I think it just became a thing where yes became more and more, yes became the norm. And more the pain body in that person that we're telling yes began to get bigger and bigger. And more you became fearful of telling them no. To the point where it was all yeses. Can you do drugs in my house? Yes. Can you do drugs and drive a car? Yes. And it's maybe not that you openly said yes, it's just, it is now allowed.
I think you want better for your kids.
Yeah.
Because we had to work for everything. I'm like one of the older ones here.
And you thought, man,
We
I
had to
could
work
give it
for
to him.
everything. It was always no.
Yeah.
Always no. I was raised by a single parent, but it was always no.
Yeah.
And we just took that. But when he's 12 years older than Ryan, it was pretty strict. Ryan came along, he was like the only child because he was moving out of the house soon.
Yeah,
Ryan got a lot of yeses.
yeah.
You want better, but we realized we made mistakes. You don't say yes. We gave him too much. That generation is entitled.
There was a comedian I heard.
It isn't just Ryan, but.
Yeah.
And I saw it. Those kids had no respect, no manners, no parenting. I mean, it's lacking.
There was a comedian, he said, you know, he goes, I got a younger sister, she's 7 years younger than me. And it seems, he goes, she's being raised by her best friends. And you know, he goes, I wasn't like that. My sister is being raised by her two best friends.
We just always want better for,
Yeah.
but that's.
And you all earned this life and you had it. And it's like, no, I want to give it. Believe me. I am not here suggesting that I'm worried about myself. Like I said, I farm out saying no because I suck at it.
Yeah.
I suck. People know. Kyle's going to say no. If I get to Art, he'll say yes. They all know it because I'm weak.
Well, then kids can use each other too.
Yeah.
So, can I have such and such over because mom said, if you said okay, and then it wasn't really that way.
Oh, the classic manipulating move. The classic manipulating move is, they come to me and they go, hey, Art, I'd like to do this thing. And I go talk to Kyle. Why'd you even come to me? It goes to Kyle. And then they go to Kyle. And Art said that we can. And then Kyle, and me and Kyle now jig us up because we know this scam by now. So Kyle always calls me like, you didn't say yes, did you? And I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. The jig is up.
How do you set boundaries though? That's the main thing, is getting some boundaries set.
Well, like I said, now what you know, and now what we're doing is we're forced to bring just exactly what I'm having to do at 8 years old with Barkley. I'm having to tell him no and then feel the pain of it. And you guys, you have to understand that one, when you say, how do I set boundaries? One, you're admitting that there needs to be and that they're not. And then two, you're admitting the difficulty of it. You're saying, well, because normally I could just answer by just tell them no. And that seems pretty logical. Well, how do you set boundaries? You just tell them no. Yeah, but what happens when you tell your kid no? Is he going to go destroy his life? Is he going to go feel so bad that he now is suffering from this no so much that he's going to go and you won't see him for another 2 years? What's going to happen? And our job is to tell him no and keep him there. And it ain't the easiest job. It's to tell him no and then explain why and keep him there. I had an interaction with a person yesterday and we were talking about rent and arguing, and my pain body was hit. So I was getting kind of fired up and agitated, and so was he. And we were talking about rent, and he was going to stomp out of the house and go. And then I'm like, oh, my night will suck if he doesn't feel good about the no I just gave him, you know. And yeah, he might go get high, and that comes to mind. And it comes so quickly. He might go get high. He might overdose. Then I got to call his parents and say it was because I pissed him off. And that happens in an instant. And you got to know, confronting you guys with no's is tough, man. It's tough. Because guess what? We all want you to have what you want. Guy says, I need to get my car and I want to go work and I've only been here 20 days. We want you to have that. But we have to be there to tell you, no, it's not time yet. And then we have to sit through the pain of that.
Or say yes and no, watch it go downhill and be like, fuck, I knew it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Kyle called me the other day. Made a mistake.
Now my exact words, I'm a dipshit.
Yeah, I'm a dipshit. I said, yes, you are. Yes.
I said yes.
It is. The biggest word that gets us to the number one fault of Kyle is yes. It's the number one thing that he has to worry about. What will my yeses do? Okay.
A reminder before we close out, there's posters for the Run for Recovery. Please, if you have a place to hang them, please grab some, postcards, please help us get them out there in the community. Get registered for Run for Recovery, Saturday, May 13th. It's a walk or run. You can stroll, whatever. It's just gonna be a big community day. We're gonna have food trucks. We're gonna have live music.
Where is it?
At Rovner Park here in Auburn, Saturday, May 13th. So you can go to our website, you can scan the code on there to find all the information, all the details, but gather all your friends, get them there. And then our next in-person solution group won't be until May, so watch for the dates on that, but Mom's group will be in touch. Mom's group's tomorrow. And then we'd love everybody when this is, he'll wrap up, but when we're done here, we would love for everybody to just mingle a bit. So the setup and breakdown crew, we won't start putting the chairs away yet because we don't want y'all to feel rushed and get out of here. One of the great things about in-person group is just the connecting. Meet somebody you haven't met yet and stick around for a few minutes before we wrap up. So we really encourage that. So please hang out for a few minutes before you leave. Meet a family member you haven't met yet. Yeah.
Well, we forgot to pass around the sign-in sheet,
Oh, okay.
but it's on the table over there. So if you don't already have your phone number and or email address, that'd be awesome if you want to find the sign.
Cool. And one of the reasons, if you can, even if you just want to rush out and just put your name, it's helpful for our tracking.
It is.
For Becky's grant hunt, search and stuff, it helps us to track who is at our meetings because when we actually have actual numbers, that's helpful. So if you can take the time to do that, we'll remember that next time.
That'd be awesome.
We got to remember this. Turn off the phones, the clipboard. There's all kinds of things. We're still trying to remember all these things. So we'll get it. We'll get it. Yeah, stick around.
And I look out at this and after 11 years or, really I haven't been doing this for 11 years, but I have been doing these groups for 7 or 8 years now. And it's just truly amazing that, people listen. From my perspective, it's amazing that I get to do this job and sit at this like beautiful laboratory and watch all this stuff. I love it. And it's so fun. And then the honor it is to be able to be involved with your families and help you guys with this. And if you feel it, and I know each one of you is everyone's experience is different and you all came from different places. And tonight it's just a look at it. It's just a possibility. Nothing I say about addiction when I talk about addiction and what it does to people, it's scientific. It does the same thing to everyone in every family. It puts people into camp hater and camp sympathizer. It puts a family at war against each other when the real war is with the drugs coming in. It does the same thing. It brings the addict to their knees, incomprehensible demoralization. It does it to everybody. And but when it comes to the origin, I find a problem with anybody that thinks they know, that thinks that I remember there was this guy, Johann, whatever, Chasing the Scream, he wrote, and he was the one that did the TED Talk, and he goes, everything we know about addiction is wrong. Everything we've ever known about addiction is wrong. He started talking about Portugal and rats and how we relate to rats and Rat Park and how Rat Park were the good connection with the rats were great. They didn't want to do the cocaine water and all this ridiculous stuff. Like, it's been around forever. It's been around a long time. We know a lot of stuff about it. Nothing's wrong. It's just different perspectives. And the origin of it, we've been trying to figure out the cause of addiction for years. Nobody's going to figure it out. Nobody's going to figure it out because it comes from all walks of life, all different areas, people that have been through trauma, people that haven't, people that have money, people that don't have money. It affects everyone. So we're not going to find the cause. And many of you may have some kids and you've raised them all the exact same. And one you told yes to their entire life, and they're great. They've graduated college. They got the same advantages of everyone else. But when yes meets drugs, a different outcome happens. And there is no defense. And so maybe you did that. And you can see raising 2 kids pretty much very similar. and having one turn into an attic and one not. Very odd things. So that kind of should be very suspicious about the cause. Very suspicious that they just don't know. And it's really a ridiculous thing to start doing unless we can get to a place where you can tell me how to raise a kid that's not an addict. Then I'll know that you know the cause. Tell me that. Tell me how to just do that and I'll do it. Maybe if we heard that, then people would know what they're talking about. So anyways, it is an honor. Thank you guys for showing up. We'll see you. Is it 2 months from now at the
Yeah,
live
it's
one?
May.
Next month, we'll be on Zoom. We'll be on Zoom for the next like 7 weeks. We'll be live from Vegas
May
next
16th.
week. We'll be live from Vegas next week, hopefully out at the pool. Come, you know, you'll be able to, you guys will see the scenery and see where we're live from, but
We'll keep you posted. We'll keep you posted.
Thank
on that.
you.
We'll still be on Zoom. Stick around for the next.
Yeah.
Stick around. If somebody hasn't met yet, you don't have to.
turn the music on, Nico.
Good night, everybody. Bye.